What is going on, YouTube-averse? John Stanek from Johnny Radio here, bringing you another Top 5 on this glorious Top 5 Friday, and I'm so excited to be talking to you about my personal favorite Top 5 albums of 1998. Such a great year in music, so let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. At number 5... Five by Lenny Kravitz. Such a great record. This was a career-defining one for him, really, that actually had sort of a slow start to it. The first single he released, I believe, was If You Can't Say No, which is my personal favorite song from that album. I just talked about it 2 weeks ago on my top 5 songs of 1998, but it had kind of a slow burn, that song. You know, it didn't really take off, but later when he released the single for Fly Away, then things really did take off to where he actually added the single American Woman, his cover from the Guess Who, after the fact. But there's so much great stuff on this album. You know, other great ballads like I Belong to You, which has such a great groove to it. I just love it all the way through, and yeah, it's got to be on your list. So that's my number 5. Now at number 4... Airbag, How's My Driving by Radiohead. I know this is a cheat because it's an EP technically. It's not a full album, and it's not really a proper release. You know, it's in between OK Computer and Kid A, but it is so good that it has to make your list. I mean, just, of course, the single Airbag we knew from OK Computer, that's a repeat, but everything else on here is new stuff that, in my opinion, is just as good as anything on OK Computer. You got Pearly, one of my favorite Radiohead songs, period. You've got Polyethylene Parts 1 and 2. You've got even these slower songs like Melatonin and instrumentals like Meeting in the Aisle, Palo Alto. I may have just named all the songs, but there is not a weak track on here. So freaking good. Gotta love Radiohead. And that's at my number 4. So now at number 3... Anybody Out There by Burlap to Cashmere. You may have heard me talk about these guys a few weeks ago, yet again, when I talked about my top 5 songs of the year. The title track was right up there, just incredible. But the album all the way through is so strong. You got other songs that are like upbeat and very spiritual, like Basic Instructions, that has that flamenco style of guitar playing that Johnny Phillips does so well. You've got amazing, just heartfelt ballads by Stephen Delopoulos, like Mansions to close out the album, or Eileen Song. You've got some heavy hitting songs that deal with some real weighty issues like divorce and Skin is Burning. And just, there's not a weak moment on this debut album. I don't think they ever quite topped this, but Burlap to Cashmere, if you don't know these guys, please do yourself a favor and check them out. They've got, I think, 3 studio LPs, but this is a great place to start, and that's just my number 3. So now at number 2... Yield by Pearl Jam. Gotta love Pearl Jam, man. And you know, it's sad to say, I kind of fell off the Pearl Jam wagon back in the 90s after No Code came out, because I was kind of like, I didn't really get that album much, and still to this day, it's not one that I revisit a whole lot, but I kind of skipped Yield when it came out. I heard a couple radio tunes, and Given to Fly sounded a little bit too much like a certain Led Zeppelin song, so I was like, I don't know what's happening to these guys, but I'm skipping it. And boy, am I kicking myself because I missed out on so much greatness. This is actually my second favorite Pearl Jam album. When I finally did come back to it a few years later, I was like, oh my God, this is one of their best. And it's just got this fun vibe to it all the way through, from Brain of Jay, the hard rocking opener, to No Way, my personal favorite track on here. There's just so many gems. You've got great ballads like Wish List. Beautiful. Every single song, Low Light, man, I could go on and on, but it just sounds like Pearl Jam had really come back to feeling what it was that made rock fun in the first place. and really took it to other places, especially songs like Do the Evolution, so crazy and wild and fun. And Eddie Vedder just never sounded more, I don't know, man, accessible on this album. And that's just my number 2. So now at number 1, In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel had to be this album. And kind of like Yield, although I hadn't heard of these guys until much later, it was much later before I even heard this album. I want to say it was like 2004 or something. A friend of mine gave me this and was like, you've got to hear this. I'm not going to explain what it is, but just put it on. And I remember distinctly listening to it and being like, okay, kind of catchy, acoustic, interesting singing by this guy, Jeff Mangum. And by the time, you get to the title track, I was like, what is this? This is so crazy and weird, but also so catchy. I was just instantly in love with this album. And of course, I've listened to it so many times now. And the album, as weird as it is lyrically, it's also very rooted in so many serious things. Like, Mangum had become fascinated by the Diary of Anne Frank, and a lot of the imagery from that kind of goes into songs like O Comely and The Communist Daughter and Two-Headed Boy, of course. My God, every single song on here is a classic. And as just a one piece of work, this is one of those albums that you have to listen to all the songs together, even though you could listen to them separately. But it's just one of those pieces that just feels like, you got to just sit down, give it your full attention for 45 minutes. And it is just an amazing experience that I think is a perfect 10 out of 10 album. And that is my number 1. So let me know in the comments below what you think. What would your top 5 be? If you're so bold, leave me a top 10. Would love to see it. And guys, we got top 5s every Friday, album reviews, so much more. Thank you for watching. And as always, Viva La Vinyl. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and be sure to ring the bell for notifications so you can always see great quality content like you're seeing on the screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting Johnny Radio, and I'll see you soon.